Hello, everyone. Keith Casebolt back with you. Welcome into Simply Life, my dear friend and the host and creator of this program, Gary C. Johnson.
Wonderful to be here another day, and today we are going to talk a little bit about Kung Fu and Judo.
All right. Well, I'm glad we're talking and you're not demonstrating. I mean, no one's going to be injured in this broadcast.
Well, several years ago, I got to thinking about how you practice law and how you ought to do it and how you ought to approach it.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked at Judo and the history of it, and that it was a sport to where you use the strength of the other people against them and use their strength to win.
You actually turn their strength into their weakness.
Right. So I developed actually and trademarked it and everything, a method of what I call judo law, of how you actually should practice your case, especially since when you're a small person
Mm-hmm.
that gets run over by a large corporation or you're dealing with a large insurance company, how does a small attorney in a firm such as mine, how do you deal with those people?
There is a great similarity there.
Yeah.
I mean, here you are, an individual going up against a billion-dollar insurance company that trades on the stock market with unlimited resources, and they're coming to you saying, how can we possibly fight this battle?
So I developed a system of how you do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually I wrote one article on it that I never go a week that we don't get at least 3 or 4 attorneys across the country requesting a copy of it, because I have restricted it to where you have to prove to me that you're an attorney that represents people, the people that need representation that have been injured, before I'll ever let them have the article. And
now that's good. In other words, if you're going to give up this information or teach this information, you want to make sure that it goes to helping the right people.
Yeah. But let's talk a little bit about Kung Fu,
Okay.
which is different because it's a martial arts thing. It's different than Judo.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone can have Kung Fu. And I didn't know that till I started researching it.
All right. I'm ready to hear this.
And let me read to you. The Chinese term Kung Fu isn't just about martial arts. It really describes any individual accomplishment or refined skill that is achieved after hard work and dedication. So no matter what if you go down here with hard work and dedication,
Mm-hmm.
and you've achieved a skill, then you have achieved Kung Fu.
No matter what that
No
skill
matter
is.
what that skill is.
Right.
I thought that was interesting.
Now,
It was adapted and made into martial arts primarily, and that's what it's used for. But the actual word itself is for the accomplishment of something special in a skill.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it derived from. So now let's go to Judo. Actually, the Harvard Business School in 2003 did a research analysis on what they call the Judo strategy. And they published an article where 4 small corporations used the Judo strategy to break into and compete with the large corporations within those fields. So there's a book out there published by Harvard on the Judo strategy.
Pretty reputable little place.
Yeah.
Harvard.
So what does judo mean? Well, Ju, means gentle, and do means the way or path. So judo actually translates into the gentle way.
It seems serene and good.
So, but what it does is, and a guy, it's not been around that long. It was developed in 1860. Well, no, it's even later than that, because this guy was born in 1860 that did it, that developed it. And he was small and sickly and was bullied. And his name was Jigonori Kano. And the moves in jiu-jitsu were hard for him because he was small. So he kept going to these schools to try to learn the jiu-jitsu, and he finally concluded that there had to be a better way to take on a large, formidable opponent. And so he developed judo.
Because you're always looking in a combat sport that the guy that's the biggest, the most powerful, is the odds-on, favorite to win the bout.
So what he did was he set up a style where he utilized the opponent's energy against him and eliminated some of the jiu-jitsu techniques that he deemed dangerous that could actually hurt himself or someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So he created judo the gentle way. And what he did, the purpose of it is to use throws to get your opponent down and then subdue them by using their strength against them to do the throws.
And Gary, if you've ever watched an exhibition of judo, it almost looks like the master of, like this guy with the judo, it almost looks unfair. It's like this big, heavy, muscular guy is doing everything in the world, and he is doing the gentle way, like you said, simply just moving out of the way and flipping him and throwing him until finally he's defeated him.
So when I started looking into it, and this was years ago that I did this, I mean a long time ago, and I realized that you cannot, when you don't have the resources of a $1 billion corporation, you cannot butt them head on. You have to use their strength against them. And when they throw the punches, you have to deflect them and make them yours.
And because they have the resources to throw the punches, much like you taught us on the previous program that we did about how they attack the attorney, how they attack the client, how they attack the jury, they're throwing all these haymakers trying to knock you out, and yet you've developed a system to where you've come back and said, what does that have to do with the case?
And and really, it's too, what I've done is way too complicated to talk about on this program and set it out. But I wanted to talk to people primarily about the fact they probably, each person listening has their own kung fu.
Mm-hmm.
They have their own skill that they have developed, whatever it might be, through hard work and persistence. So naturally, come on, straighten up, folks. You have kung fu.
Yes, but what I like about this is you sat back and you looked at the law and you said, I can take the art of judo and apply it with what I have found out and learned in law, and I can take that same principle and develop this new kind of law that actually gives you...
It's not a new kind of law. It's a new way of dealing with the powerful opponents in the law. The law's the
Right.
same, but it's a technique of dealing with and maneuvering such that when they throw their power at you, you deflect it and use it to subdue them with it.
And they will throw the power.
And they always will.
That's their game.
They can't help it.
They're going to come out swinging.
And it works. Most of the time, it works.
Most of the time.
Early on, I realized when I started practicing law that you cannot match them dollar for dollar. You cannot match them lawyer for lawyer. You can't do it. You've got to come up with a technique to take the things they're throwing at you, divert them, use them to throw them to the ground.
It's no different than the battle on the schoolyard. It's the big bully that's coming in and saying, we're not going to pay the damages. Here's what we're going to do unless you can make us.
That's right. That's just the way it is. And again, I've said it's not personal from them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't set out to say, well, I'm going to mess over you because you're who you are. It's just business. And once you understand all that, you can take them on, and like I say.
So that changed your whole approach once you got to the point to where you realized, okay, this is business to them, this is a numbers game, and this is the method they're going to use to try to bully and beat up my client.
Right. And then you take that, and it's amazing. They underestimate the intelligence of people on a jury.
Mm-hmm.
You can always count on that, too. You can count on it every time, that they will buy the jury for being people that aren't intelligent enough to see what's going on.
Now, isn't that just the opposite? Because you have sat here so many times and said the 12 men and women that make up that jury is the most intelligent, the experience they have. You're on the completely different end.
Well, I was sitting there one day looking at a jury, and I just counted it up, and there was over 500 years of living life being messed over, being cheated, being dealt with on that jury. Experience.
That you could have asked any kind of life question, and one of those individuals
would have known or had it done to them.
Sure.
And that collective wisdom is astronomical.
Well, how important is that in the process of what you're doing? Because you're sitting here saying, these people have the experience that if I present the facts, they're going to see through all of this other stuff over here.
But it's how you present those facts.
Mm-hmm.
You have to absorb their facts that they're throwing at you so the jury will understand.
When you explain the facts to them and why it's being thrown, why it's being done.
Right.
A lot of people don't know. A few occasions you've mentioned it, but you travel the United States basically teaching this method to some pretty doggone good attorneys.
Well, I hope they were better after I was done with them.
Well, you just recently came back from the Dominican Republic where you were teaching.
Yeah, that was a group called Primeris, Primereus, and they bill themselves as the finest lawyers in the world because their group is all over the world. And they invited me down to the Dominican Republic to teach their winter session, and there was 3 days of it. And really, they were more interested in finding out about judo law and how to apply it and to use it than they were anything.
Gary, talk to me a little bit about the intimidation factor, because one of the things when you know an art like judo, you're no longer intimidated by the big physical presence of someone or the bullying. How does that play into it with you developing judo law, going up against major companies or up against defense attorneys from New York or wherever?
There's not a corporation out there anywhere now that worries me. simply because you can't change the facts and they can't change the facts.
No matter what they throw.
No matter what they throw at you, the facts are what they are. And when they throw out all of those things that have nothing to do with the real facts in order to try to confuse, that's where I use judo.
You know, as a person sitting across from you, if I were a client, those words that you just said are the most important thing I would want to hear. There's not a company out there that intimidates me. There's no one out there.
And there shouldn't be any lawyer intimidated by anyone like that, simply because the facts are the facts. And it's when confusion is the thing that's used to try to win by corporations that have done something wrong. And they try to attack the individual, as I've said, and make that person appear to be unworthy, that they harmed.
That's another thing that I have over the years noticed about you. No matter what's said or done, no matter what's going on, you have a calmness about you. And that's one of the things that judo teaches, is the gentle calmness. But you never get upset. You don't buy into that. You're calm, you're collected, you're confident.
It's not just that. I learned a long time ago that you can't afford a temper. They're too expensive.
Because ultimately it causes you to make mistakes.
And I learned a long time ago there's no such thing as a small enemy.
Any enemy is
Any
a large
enemy is one too many.
Yes, absolutely.
But I just wanted to talk about that. But again, going back, just to let my friends know that after I researched Kung Fu, that anyone that's accomplished something and has attained a skill through hard work and perseverance has Kung Fu.
It's not just a martial art.
Right.
It could be painting. It could be education.
Whatever it is.
It can be anything.
But now it was used to primarily martial arts, and that's how we all understand it. But the words mean that.
How much, with the words Kung Fu and even Judo, how much does discipline play into that? Because it's easy to say the things that you just talked about, being calm, confident, understanding how to take on the big people, but having the discipline to keep yourself in that mode.
Well, and again, coming back to it, you've got to control the anger emotion.
And they bank on that, don't they? I mean...
Because their goal is to make you mad. They want to badmouth your client so you'll get mad about it and then you'll react.
Because they know you're human.
That's right.
And we're all sitting here with human traits. If you attack our family, our friends, or you attack our integrity, the first thing we're going to do is try to defend ourselves and get angry.
Mm-hmm.
And they bank on that because that makes you make a mistake.
But, it's life. But all my friends are being happy, I hope. Let's talk about something happy.
Well, we've made it to spring, and all the trees have the leaves on, and everything is beautiful. I mean...
And we're alive.
My friend, yes. And that's the biggest thing. If we've got today, we've got everything.
And my friends, none of you are criticizing, condemning, or complaining, right?
It's such a waste of time.
Especially Keith. He's finally got to where he doesn't do that anymore. He doesn't do it to where anybody knows it. I said it that way.
I pulled one of your deals the other day. I got to tell you about this. I went into a drive-thru, and the lady at the restaurant was the only one there. Something had happened. Other people hadn't showed up. She had been in the freezer. We were trying to talk back and forth. We ended up having about a good 5-minute conversation through the drive-thru about the hectic life we live and all that we have to do. And she was like, "Thank you for being so understanding." And I said, "Thank you for doing everything you're doing."
Thank you for feeding me.
Yeah, and we had such a great conversation, and I thought, this is what Gary tries to talk to us about. Instead of pulling up to the drive-thru and being anxious or upset because you didn't get your food in 30 seconds, you got a chance to find out about what this young lady was going through just trying to make everything happen.
And understand that people are doing the best they can do.
Goodness gracious, yes.
And if they could do more, they would.
And you know what I thought? If she was over here in the car and I was in there right now, I'd probably be having a nervous breakdown. I would have everything going wrong. I mean, I'd probably burn the place down, to be honest with you. I mean, so I'm sitting here going, bless your heart, I don't know how you're handling everything, because a couple of people hadn't showed up. She was doing the job of 3 people and trying to get everything done. And, you know, I really felt sorry for her, but I was impressed by the ability that she had in what she was doing.
If we would just take time, just a few minutes, a few seconds, to look around us and to appreciate what's going on, appreciate the people that are there doing things for us, it will enrich our lives. It's not for them, I'm telling you to do it, folks. It's for you.
Isn't that the truth? Yes.
It makes your life richer when you do that.
You'll be happier.
Much happier.
More content. You won't be upset. You won't be wasting any of your dash.
You'll control your anger because you'll understand. You'll approach a situation such as you were in with understanding rather than being mad and anger. And you'll feel good after. You felt good afterwards, didn't you?
Felt great.
Now, imagine you had got mad.
And drove off.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to wait.
Then you, number one, you wouldn't have had any food.
I wouldn't have had any food.
And number two, it would have probably bugged you the rest of the day.
Yeah. Instead,
you went away with a good feeling.
And a great appreciation for the person that was in there doing all that work.
So it's all.
And you know, I really felt a little bit guilty that I probably should have parked the car and gone in and helped.
Well, we won't expect that much out of you.
Well, she probably wouldn't have wanted me in there. I'd have messed things up. But you're 100% right, Gary. It is a completely different outlook on every situation when you have the genuine appreciation for what people are doing.
And just take a few seconds or a minute or whatever to do it. You will be enriching your life beyond your wildest imagination.
Is that a little bit, you know, I'm just now putting this 2 and 2 together. That's again back to the judo, isn't it? You're taking a situation that could have had an extreme anger or whatever, and you turned it around and made it into the gentle judo method that you're talking.
The gentle way.
The gentle way of handling things.
Yeah. And it's amazing the difference it makes in you. Stress level goes down.
Blood pressure.
Blood pressure goes down.
Yeah.
Anxiety goes down. All those things that we all face every day of our lives start mellowing out.
It's a calming effect.
And it's amazing the difference it'll make in you, my friends. Try it. I promise you. Try it.
I can tell not only have you developed judo law, but you've developed judo life. I mean, the method, it really works.
Really and truly, when you look at happiness, you can't do anything to make anyone else happy. You can try, but their happiness will depend upon them, not you.
Yes.
Just like your happiness will depend upon you, not someone else. But you can sure go a long ways toward making yourself happy. And the only responsibility you have to make anyone happy is you. Everyone else has the responsibility to make themselves happy. Happiness is a state of mind. Happiness is laughing, having friends, having a good time, making the most of every situation you're in every second. That's happiness.
You know, it's been a long time since I've told this, but one of the greatest lessons you ever taught me, you and I were in this production room, and I'd messed up the computer somehow. And I am over here going to town, sweat's coming off my head. I'm doing everything in the world, getting upset, and I looked at you, and you were leaned back in the chair, smiling, and you were relaxing. And you were teaching me in that moment how you were handling that. and I was looking at how I was handling it, which was completely wrong. And when I saw you smiling, I said, my friend is teaching me a lesson. I'm getting upset over something that I shouldn't be getting upset over.
It didn't matter. If the computer worked, it's fine. If it didn't work, it's fine. Life goes on.
You actually said, hey, I got a break.
Yeah.
Hey, you can catch Gary's television show, Simply the Law, Tuesday nights on WYMT. It's 7 o'clock, your CBS affiliate. Late night replay is on WKYT, your CBS affiliate in Central Kentucky. If you need Gary, you can contact him, Gary at GaryCJohnson.com for his email. Also, Gary has a brand new office in Lexington, 2265 Executive Drive. Is that right? Yes, I got that right. Okay, thank you all so much for tuning in. On behalf of my friend Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. As always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week at this same time.